Welcome to Hope for Recovery, a 12-step workshop, sponsored by the Saturday Serenity Meeting of Eating Disorders Anonymous, which is a fellowship of people who share their experience, strength, and hope with each other that they might solve their common problems and help others to recover from their eating disorders. Information about EDA can be found at 4eda.org, the number 4eda.org. Handouts for all sessions of this workshop can be found at edahopeforrecovery.com. And now, here's today's workshop.
Welcome, everyone, to week 9 of our 14-week Hope for Recovery workshop. Today, we're covering step 5. My name is Regina. I live in San Diego, California, and I'm a grateful recovered member of Eating Disorders Anonymous. I am the chairperson of the Hope for Recovery Workshop Committee. Please join me for a moment of silence. Please remember to turn your camera off if you're moving about or doing anything distracting. This workshop is being recorded to create an audio version, so if you choose to share, your voice may be heard on the recording. As a reminder, the handouts for all the sessions are available at EDAhopeforrecovery.com. Without further ado, it is now my pleasure to introduce Michael, who is our leader today. Go ahead, Michael.
Thank you so much, Regina. Nice to see everyone here. My name's Michael. I am currently in Denver, Colorado. I use pronouns he, him, and I am recovered from eating disorders. Let's take a moment to review what we've done so far here. We have in this workshop, if you've joined us previously, welcome back. And if you're coming back after you're missing a week or two, welcome back as well. So far, steps 1 through 4. It's a lot of work. We have admitted we're powerless over our eating disorders and that our lives have become unmanageable. That's step 1. We have come to believe that with the help of God, a higher power or a higher purpose, we can recover. That is step 2. And we have decided to accept this help as well as the help of our peers and this fellowship to go all in, doing the work laid out in the remaining steps. That's step 3. We have learned about and started to develop a practice of daily inventory, morning meditation, or quiet time, pausing when agitated or doubtful, spot check inventory work, and we understand the value of making an effort to notice what is going right. Steps 10 and 11. We have learned how to complete a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves in step 4. Our next step today is when we share what we've written with another human being, which is step 5. I will read the long version of step 5. Admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being, the exact nature of our wrongs. We shared our shortcomings. We held ourselves accountable to others for our past thoughts and actions and discussed what we ought to have thought and done instead. This established our authority as responsible people. We began to feel like we belonged to the human race. This step is like the bulldozer that clears the blockages in our connection to God. That quote is from the EDA Big Book, Appendix A, page 483. Step 5 is part of the process required to develop the new habit of turning to God, our higher power, or higher purpose, instead of turning to our eating disorders for comfort and security. Because this level of sharing is not the norm and not easy, we're going to begin by talking about some of the benefits of step 5. These are found in the EDA Big Book on pages 161 to 163. Now I've asked a volunteer, Bev, to read the next 2 slides.
I'm Bev from North Dakota. Benefits of step 5. It builds objectivity, the ability to look at ourselves honestly without being blinded by victimhood or being stuck in shame. We learn we no longer need to put ourselves in situations where we will be hurt. We expose patterns of thinking and behavior that underline our unhealthy dependence upon others. as well as any thinking and behavior that was objectively wrong. We learn a lot about ourselves and our relationships, including our relationship to God, our higher power, or higher purpose. We address the character trait of oversensitivity. We learn to hold ourselves accountable for our thoughts and actions. We develop into adults who are able to think and act as people of conscience and courage, regardless of circumstances. We demonstrate to ourselves and others that we are no longer willing to stay as sick as our secrets, that we're willing to trust at least one other person with the truth about ourselves, that we're willing to change.
Thank you so much, Bev. The next 3 slides will help us go deeper into our understanding of step 5. Let's take a look at 3 paragraphs from the EDA Big Book. I have asked Sandy to read the next 3 slides, which contain paragraphs found on page 160 and 161 of the EDA Big Book.
Rarely do we find it helpful to focus on what the people we identified in our 4-step inventory did or are still doing. Even in the most extreme situations, including physical and emotional abandonment and/or abuse, there's nothing we can do that will change what happened in the past. We need to learn from our experiences, but ruminating on what we may feel was a raw deal does no good. Little recovery can be found in reflecting on the errors of others. Nor will we have much success working the steps, the 12 steps, unless we are physically safe, whether the current threat is from others or ourselves. The first order of business may be to take advantage of professional help or personal support so we can find enough safety and stability to work the steps. We think a note of caution is warranted here, for there will always be some source of turmoil in our lives. Once we are physically safe and stable enough to work on our recovery, we should not delay in picking up and moving forward with the steps. Our job in step 5 is to focus on what we thought, said, and did that put us in situations where we were vulnerable, threatened, and hurt. Did we lie to ourselves or others? Did we cheat people of our time and attention? Did we complain, if only to ourselves perhaps, about how unfairly we were treated without taking action to resolve the problems? Did we nurse grudges against people who were also struggling to make sense of life? Did we feel victimized by our social standing, family situations, or prior actions? Did we blame society for our reactions for what happened to us? Did we hold institutions liable for our attitudes and outlook upon life? This was from the EDA Big Book, pages 160 to 161.
And thank you so much, Sandy. So it's normal to be nervous about taking step 5 or about hearing someone else's 4th step or being their step 5 recipient. It takes a lot of willingness and courage. The EDA Big Book, pages 159 to 167, is full of practical advice for taking step 5. Here are a few points distilled from both the book and our personal experience. I have asked Donna to read the next 2 slides for us.
Thank you, Michael. My name is Donna. I'm a grateful recovering member of Eating Disorders Anonymous. Practical advice for step 5. It may be best not to use family to hear our 4th step writing, as they may be hurt by what we have to say and may not be objective. Good candidates to hear our writing include our EDA sponsors, members of other 12-step programs, clergy, therapists, and trusted friends. It's normal to be nervous. Tell your 5th step recipient how you're feeling. Both you and your 5th step recipient may want to take notes. Ideally, you should hold back nothing. Know that more will be revealed as you continue to work the 12 steps and grow in your recovery. Humbly open yourself to feedback from your 5th step recipient. Their view is certain to be more objective than yours. Accept their feedback and make your own decisions. When you have finished sharing your 4th step inventory, be sure to thank your recipient. It is not uncommon to feel overwhelmed or disappointed by this experience. Honor whatever you're feeling. You can and should feel proud of yourself for the hard work completed.
Another practical suggestion, which is discussed on page 167, and which we suggest you try your best to follow, is to take some quiet time for reflection after taking the fifth step. I have asked Sandra to read about this on the next 2 slides.
After an hour's reflection, we take pen to paper again for just a few minutes to write down everything for which we are grateful. If we have developed a relationship with God, we give thanks from the bottom of our hearts that we know Him better. If we have connected with a higher power or higher purpose, we express our deep appreciation for the perspective and power these can bring into our lives. We might express gratitude for the patience of the person who heard our fifth step, for new hope and new opportunities, or we might simply give thanks for being alive. Writing this list is crucial, whether we feel grateful or not. We certainly have gone through an emotionally draining experience. At moments like this, putting key tools of recovery into practice is essential. We are at our most vulnerable when overwhelmed by emotions we haven't fully processed. Writing even a short gratitude list demonstrates that no matter what we are feeling, we can start to trust our growing internal strength and commitment to recovery.
Thank you so much, Sandra. Now, folks, believe it or not, we are already at the homework portion. So first off, if you're ready, take the fifth step with your sponsor, clergy, a fellow EDA member, or a trusted friend. Generally, the listener will be able to help you identify repeating patterns. Number 2, spend a quiet hour alone after completing your fifth step, contemplating your work on steps 1 through 5, and then also write a gratitude list. On your gratitude list, be sure to include increasing respect for yourself as a person determined to find healing, perspective, and balance. Number 3, review your completed fourth step and make a list of the various errors in thinking and behavior you noted in your fourth column. Bring your list to our next session. And number 4, continue to attend EDA meetings. Wrap up. Whether you're sharing your work or listening, know there will be more opportunities to continue this work in the future, and it need not be done perfectly. Simply showing up and being open and honest is healing. You'll get better at inventory work as we learn and grow in EDA. The important part now is just to do your best. If for any reason this is not the right time for you to complete your fourth step or to take your fifth step, that is just fine. Trust yourself and know you will do these steps when the time is right for you. Please continue with the workshop regardless, as there is valuable content still to come. Plus, you are a valued part of this community. I would now like to ask our workshop chair, Regina, to join for the next part of the workshop.
Thank you very much, Michael. And I want to mention that Michael is the vice chair of the General Service Board of Eating Disorders Anonymous. So we had a celebrity leader for y'all today. I just want to tell you guys that some interesting things to come. One of the bonus videos is going to have a talk on how to work the 12 steps of EDA if you're an atheist. So I've heard it. It's 10 minutes of instruction, and it's really interesting, even if you're not an atheist. Also, next week we'll do 6 and then 7, and 6 and 7 in EDA have very unique spins. So if you've done the 12 steps and other 12-step programs, you will be in for a little different experience, which is always fun. I do believe Sandy has a birthday this week. So happy birthday, Sandy.
Thank you, sweetie.
All right. So y'all know what we do now. Please limit your share to approximately 2 minutes to allow as many participants as possible to speak, and I will call on raised hands. Go ahead, Scarlett.
I actually have, so I was doing all of the lists like self-pity, and despair. I got really stuck on despair. I'm kind of confused on like what counts as despair. I'm hoping maybe you can give me some clarity on that.
Well, I'm looking it up in my book.
I even like Googled the dictionary definition of it, and it's really, despair is really tough for me, and I'm just feeling really stuck.
It's a feeling of hopelessness.
Just about anything.
Yeah. Could be politics, climate, relationships, eating disorder, anything relate.
Like hopeless or helpless? Is there a difference?
Well, it's hopeless, but you could try helpless and I bet it'll work. Give it a try. Sometimes we have to tweak things to make them work for us. Thanks for your question. Good for you for making it all the way to despair.
Thank you.
Yeah. Eileen.
Hi, everybody. My name's Eileen. I have an eating disorder. I'm really glad to be here. Thank you for all of the work that you've done to put this workshop on. I'm just always in awe of what that requires, and it really is well done. My milestone is that I kept going when I missed the first fourth step meeting. I thought, I'm too far behind. I'm not going to do this. And part of me was like, yeah, then I'll just stop. And, I have a wonderful sponsor that I found on this meeting. And I'm in touch with her every day. And I just decided I was going to go through this, even if I felt like I was behind. So I got my little binder and I got all organized, and I don't have to do it perfectly, but organization is a big one for me. So I did work on that over the weekend, and I got halfway through all of the pages, and I'm close to, I think, guilt. And I am so grateful that I stayed with it. To anybody who feels like they can't get finished. Now we're on 5, and now I'm like, oh, I didn't finish 4, but I realized that it's a process. I couldn't have done all that work even if I started on the first time that we had a meeting on the fourth step. It's too much. It's too emotional. It's too difficult to just sit down and continue to write. I have to take breaks because I learned about self-care. I learned that I have to be aware that there's a lot of emotion coming up for me. And I've done many fourth steps, but this fourth step is different. It feels like when I heard someone say the word despair, I came on here in despair because I thought, I am never going to get this. I don't understand any of it. And I'm so blessed that I'm hearing you saying I don't have to be perfect. And that is probably my biggest issue with myself, is to expect perfectionism from a human being is unreasonable. But
Eileen, gentle reminder.
Thank you so much, Beth. And that is where I always go, beating myself up. So and with this, I'll end with this relationship, learning how to deal with myself and my higher power, and having you as support has given me hope. So with that, I'll pass. Thank you.
Thank you, Eileen. Sounds very balanced. I like to say balanced and perspective a lot. Those words are fun. Elizabeth.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth, recovered from an eating disorder. Wait, 2 minutes. I felt feelings I didn't know what they were. It was so unfamiliar, and it's because of this program. I've been recovering for a couple of years, but my husband left for 7 weeks to go take care of his dad and far away. So he was gone for 7 weeks. And about 4 weeks in, I just had this deluge of feelings, and I called somebody in this program who knows me very well. And it's the gift of this program. And she listened to what I was feeling, and I tried to describe it. And she said something to me that really kind of changed my life. She said, it sounds like you might be feeling lonely for the first time in your life. And I was feeling lonely. That's what it was. And it really ended up the last 3 weeks he was gone, I got to know myself better as a human being. And he came back to somebody who was standing in a different place that is my place to stand. And I didn't even know that was missing really. Before this program, I knew how to be busy and I knew how to stuff. And that's how I took care of absolutely everything, or to restrict so that I could focus on all of that. In this program, I got to feel those feelings, and it's actually contributing to me getting to know me. Like that's somebody worth getting to know. And who knew? This is just kind of a miracle. And thank you to EDA. Thank you to this workshop and the whole committee. Regina, Michael, for your service today. Just thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Elizabeth. The chat is open for questions only right now. And the question has come in how to access the YouTube videos. Even if you just go to Google, or you can go to YouTube, or just go to Google and type in EDA, Hope for Recovery Workshop. And all these videos will turn up. I think we have 7 with more to come. Thanks for that question. Someone said to me this week that they see their eating disorder as their inability to deal with strong emotions. And that's exactly what we're doing here. We're learning to deal with strong emotions, not strong emotions, identifying emotions, and takes time. I wanted to share with all of you that in my experience with sponsoring, it takes months for most of the people I sponsor to, I'm surprised they stick around, but it takes months for them to really see their eating disorder symptoms significantly diminished. So we have to be patient and give ourselves lots of love. Go ahead, Esther.
Hi, I'm Esther, and I want to recover from an eating disorder. The first thing I wanted to say is a milestone that I decided that I think it would be very beneficial for me to attend a meeting, start every day with the meeting, because I'm still experiencing doing my eating disorder behaviors, and I'm finding it really frustrating. So I think that it might be helpful that instead of, doing the eating disorder behavior and then going to the meeting afterwards, maybe to go to the meeting at the beginning of the day and start off my day that way and get off to a better start. And hopefully that'll make it a little bit easier to get through the day. The next thing is somebody had asked about despair, and I don't mind sharing some of my examples at that. It happens to be that in terms of what I'm up to in my 4th step, I'm still at resentments. I did most of my hot resentments. I'm putting a few of them to the side and moving on to fears next. But I did brainstorm for all of the feelings. And examples that I put down for despair is that these are different situations or different aspects of my life circumstance that makes me feel despair. So example is when I'm unsuccessful at something, the fact that I'm in my eating disorder again, being an orphan, being single, my various, health diagnoses, mental health diagnoses. And also I get into a space of despair because I often think about how my life has so many challenges and hurt and so many bad things that have happened. So those are some examples of my despair of the inventory. So I hope that that's helpful for everyone listening to, give some ideas of what that is. So With that, I'll pass.
Thank you, Esther. That was very generous of you to share your despair with us. Little joke. Okay, Danielle.
So this is the first time I'm sharing. I'm a little nervous, but I wanted to share a milestone because throughout my recovery from an eating disorder, before I realized it was all about emotions, I was just looking at the physical side of it. And I had a lot of symptoms, I guess we'll say, just a lot of physical symptoms that go with recovery. And now that I'm focusing more on the emotional and mental side of it, I'm noticing whenever I have those uncomfortable physical symptoms of recovery, I'm not allowing myself to relapse back to where I started. And I'm really proud of myself for that because I can see that shift in the way that I'm thinking. And instead of going through something difficult and then allowing my physical symptoms to get in the way and say, oh, well, this isn't working anyways, I'll just go back to what I was doing. I'm holding myself accountable and I'm pushing through. So thank you guys to everyone that shared because it's the workshop and it's all of you guys sharing and it's everything that we're all doing together. So thank you so much, guys.
Thanks, Danielle. I'm going to say congratulations on your milestone for sharing at the workshop. And if I could just say how much I relate to your share when eating disorder thoughts come to me, which they will occasionally, especially if I just ate and I want to go somewhere and get some more food. It's like ding, 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 check for feelings, check for resentments, check for fears. And it's almost a useful warning bell going off. Shannon, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Shannon, recovering from eating disorder in Denver, Colorado. I want to just thank the group and the workshop facilitator so much. This has been great. I started doing the 10-step daily inventory. It's been incredibly helpful. And I have a question. So in your daily 10th step, if you in your 5-column inventory, you recognize that you need to make an amends. But in the full 12 steps, it talks about you don't do that till you get to step 9. So how do you do advice on how to do that without like making the situation worse because you don't have clarity on your part and all of that. But, when you recognize with the 10th step that you need to make amends.
Yeah. Do you have a sponsor, Shannon?
No.
Then I would call some seasoned EDA or AA member, if you're wanting to make an amends. If I yell at my husband, I go say, I'm sorry, yelled at you. I was just being self-centered, so it's going to be case by case, but I think I always like to check with someone before I make an amends because you can make it worse.
Yeah, I think that's something I've done through my life and trying to make amends. I end up making things worse. So
okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, Judy, what you got for us?
Hi, my name is Judy. I'm desire to have a recovery from an eating disorder on the West Coast of the US. Just feeling nudged to share. So I do two 10th steps now, one that I was doing before and one the EDA one. And so one of my old one, I write down things I forgive myself for, things I did well, and things I'm grateful for. So a couple of my milestones recently, somebody wrote to us and said, oh, I'm coming to town and I need a place to stay. Can I stay with you? And of course, my first reaction is always, no, you cannot stay with us. But that passes quickly. And I'm like, if this person needs a place to stay and has reached out, I mean, of course the answer is yes. And so, and I'm allowed to think and feel what I want, but in the end, my actions of saying, yes, you are warmly welcomed into our home and there's clean sheets on the guest bed, we're happy to have you. So I'm proud of myself for accepting myself with my, of course, not feelings, and then cheerfully being of service that I learned in EDA. And the other was, so it mentions exercise a little. We ride every Sunday. I ride on the back of a tandem, which is really good for like trusting. You can't steer, you can't brake, you can barely see beyond the person in front of you. It's just trust, like flying a plane kind of. And yesterday it was foggy and I was pretty scared, and I just expressed my discomfort instead of over and over like screaming and being unpleasant company on the back, because your job on the back is just to pedal hard. And so I stuck with my job, and that was my milestone. So thank you for letting me share.
Thank you and congratulations on your milestone.
Thank you.
Milestones, I saw more than one. Claire, hi.
Hi, everybody. I'm Claire, and I am in recovery from an eating disorder. I really appreciated today's slides and what we went through. And what stuck out to me is something that the leader says about, I can start telling myself that I respect myself because I'm actually willing and wanting to grow. And it's not just willing. Like I've been wanting to grow so faster than it's going. And it's always been that way. And I never really looked at it that, you know what, I respect you, Claire. Like, wow, you just want to grow. And all I saw is what I wasn't doing, or all I saw is where I wasn't at and where I wanted to be. And, I'm really grateful for the person that shared about despair. I had 3 things after hearing that and hearing the definition. I had 3 things that I know I could write about. And I'm going to do column work on it.
Thank you, Claire. Audrey.
Oh, hi. This is Audrey in recovery with EDA. I wanted to share, I did my fifth step with my sponsor. And what a relief. So when EDA suggests take an hour afterwards to just go and do a gratitude list and go, reflect or meditate, because I was on such a high of relief, like I just got this monkey off my chest and the rocks were thrown off and I just felt light as a feather and I wanted to go run a marathon or either have some dessert. So so for me, it is really, really cool advice. It's a cool suggestion, if you will, that after the 5th step is shared, yes, to thank the recipient who listened to the 5th step, to be grateful, to do some gratitude, and maybe just, get into a meditative state. Like, this is what I do. I do coloring. So that's helpful for me. That's all.
Thanks, Audrey. Volunteers are selected prior to the start of each workshop. Next week, please consider joining us 10 to 15 minutes early to volunteer. Please do not share who you've seen here or what others have shared here, so that we practice anonymity. 7th tradition, we have no dues or fees, and this workshop is offered at no cost. However, EDA has expenses and donations are welcome. We hope you'll consider a minimum donation of $14 for this 14-week workshop. To donate, go to the EDA website and select the support tab. If you wish to, please join me in saying the we version of the Serenity Prayer. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things we can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
We hope you enjoyed today's workshop. More information about Eating Disorders Anonymous can be found at 4eda.org, the number 4eda.org. The handouts for this workshop can be found at edahopeforrecovery.com. We encourage you to check out one or more of the many EDA Zoom or in-person meetings. Many of us have found recovery from our eating disorders in these meetings and hope that you will too. Until next time.